I've been living here since, I came in 1970 and then I left and I came back in 1999. My husband bought this house, so I've been living here for around 16, 17 years. And as far as us being notified by the EPA, we did not get notified until last year around July. And they did come take samples of our home in 2015. I think that was March, but they didn't tell us what they were doing. They just wanted samples from our front yard and our backyard.
So the samples were they were checking the soil.
Exactly. That's what they were checking, was the soil from the front yard and the backyard. Yes.
And they did not test your water.
And no water testing was done at the time. So we did get the results back, actually 2016, probably like around September. That was like almost like a year and a half later, telling us that our property had high levels of lead and arsenic. They're supposed to come back this year, this spring, to do the cleanup of the contaminated land.
So, for example, I interviewed a woman, I think 3 houses down, Miss Garza, and they tested the ground soil, but also the water. They didn't test your water. In her water, they found high levels of lead. But as far as you know, because for whatever reason they're not testing your water and other people's water, you don't know what's in the water.
No, we don't. We don't know what's in the water, but we do not drink the water. We're very cautious about how we use the water here. Unfortunately, we do have to bathe in the water. And I think about it every time I take a bath. If it's, causing any health harm to me at all, or my husband. So yeah, we're very concerned about it. We're pushing for them to come and do water testing. And I'm hoping that, that is going to happen sometime soon.
It seems like there's no rhyme or reason to why the EPA thoroughly tests a house three houses down, but not this one. But you're drinking bottled water, but needless to say, if you go around this community, a lot of people don't even know what's going on, and they're not taking those precautions.
That's so true. That's unfortunate. We are trying to reach out to, the whole community here, especially the homeowners at this present time. But, when we talk to some of the homeowners, honestly, they don't even know what's going on around here.
So, but the city's not handing out the water. It's just citizens that are taking it upon themselves through donations.
Exactly. It's citizens actually, taking the action to go out there, concerned citizens. And, when they pass this bottled water out, they go to these homeowners and they don't even know why they're getting the water. And so that's when they explain to them, the crises that we're in here, that we're facing right now. So, and that's very sad. That is very sad. So we take their name and we take their name and address and their phone number, and we are going to follow up with them.
So I kind of want to set the scene for the audience because, the bottom line is there's no nice way to say it, but when this happens in these communities, it's not like these are Harvard-educated citizens. This is a heavily Latina and African-American community. You're a Latina. And, whether they went to college or not, unless something smacks them over the head, they're not going to know there's a lead crisis going on. I'm sure the media doesn't cover it that much either. But what I want to get at is the citizens were not informed.
No, actually, there was no disclosure, at the time when we purchased the home. And that's pretty surprising to me because like I was telling you earlier, we got the loan through FHA. And so you would think that, if it's a government entity and the government knows, that we're sitting on contaminated land, I mean, you think they would, disclose this information, which they didn't.
You mean the government occasionally doesn't tell the truth?
Well, hey, I guess we're finding that out now. I know, you know, well, we know. So, we just don't want to go there. That's a different, subject. But yeah, it's really sad. It's really, and now, we were going to move, okay, because we were planning to move even before we found out that we were exposed to arsenic and lead on our properties, because I needed to be in a place where we didn't have a 2-level home. We wanted a 1-level home. And we actually had a buyer for our home. And unfortunately, we got the bad news that, we were contaminated. So the family that was going to move in here, they had children. And so definitely we were going to disclose, what was going on here. And, I just couldn't, consciously, I couldn't sell them the house, because then their kids would be running around in the yard, and you don't want them exposed to that.
So for you, it's not, you wanted to sell the home, the buyer, you made them aware of this, but also for you, you have a health condition. You tell however much you're comfortable with, but you have a health condition that it's dangerous to you to be in an environment with
Exactly.
toxic things like this. So for you, it's not like a luxury of, if I kind of just want to get out of here. Your doctors are telling you to leave.
Exactly. The thing is that we were going to sell our home. We had equity built up in our home. Okay. And
It's a very nice home, by the way. She made us, what'd you make us?
tostadas.
Delicious. I'm getting fatter by the minute on the road.
Yes. But, we were going to take the equity from this house and purchase another home. We're not spring chickens anymore, so we should actually be financially sound. Okay. And so this kind of disrupt, our finances, because now we're going to move, but it just kind of made us dig deeper into our savings. And, we need to live. You know what I mean? We have a budget. So it threw us into like a little whirlwind of uncertainty, and but my doctor, was telling me that he believes that, well, he knows that I shouldn't be here, because I am going to get a kidney transplant. It's going to be this year, and just being on the medication, the immune suppressant medications, and being around the contaminated land around here, it's not good for my health.
Hey, buddy.
It wouldn't be.
The dog's joining us too. Okay, so you have kidney illness. You're going to need a kidney, and obviously that affects your immune system, everything. So
Yes, it affects my immune system, especially right now, even right now, because my kidney is not working 100%. Like I said, I have stage 4 kidney disease, and the next stage is actually stage 5, where your kidney just does not work at all. You know what I mean? And you have to either go on dialysis, or if you're fortunate enough, you can have a kidney transplant. So yeah, being on the medication after my kidney transplant, the recovery time, I just don't want to be around here. I don't want to be exposed to any of the toxic elements that we have going on around here.
and just to be clear, because the audience is probably going to try to connect dots, with your kidney illness, it was genetic, so it's not like it's not like your kidney illness came because of the lead or the toxicity.
Correct. It is a genetic disease, and it started with my mother. So yeah, it's genetic. So it had nothing to do with me being here. I've known since I was 25 years old. So, but I've been able to, kind of prolong it till now.
But I think your story is kind of emblematic of what a lot of people are probably going through. I mean, tonight we're going to a forum about, the equity in the homes, because a lot of people who are aware of what's going on want to leave, but good luck selling your home in a lead-contaminated city. Good luck, a lot of people that want to buy homes in suburbia have kids. I would hope most people are like you that would disclose what's going on, because the city certainly didn't disclose it for a long time. So for you, is it kind of like you built a life here, Now, because of your own health, you have to leave, but your, I mean, your mortgage isn't paid off, so wouldn't you be paying, for wherever you move to, plus here?
Yes, we'll have two mortgages. We will have two mortgages. As far as what we're going to do with this home, we don't know if we can even rent it out. I mean, that would be a nice option for us to have, but that's uncertain.
And going back to the beginning, you don't even know if the water is contaminated. Obviously, you're taking the precautions, but I think that's very important to point out because, for example, in Flint, they're telling people, oh, the water levels are now under the allowable limit. Well, they do a little fancy testing to find that, but people don't know if it's safe to shower. And with a filter, they're saying it's safe if you drink with a filter. Well, filter doesn't stop 100% of lead, and it doesn't stop bacteria and other things. So I think a lot of people are operating kind of in the darkness.
Yeah, that's true. The water issue, is a problem here. I mean, we have the land contaminated already. So, what makes you think that the water might not be contaminated? You know what I mean? So, hopefully, we can get that taken care of by putting water filters for the moment. And I know there's some talk about, doing the infrastructure to put, new piping, from, the service lines and, the city. I don't know. They're trying to get monies for that. Mm-hmm. That's what's been talked about, but we don't know, the certainty of that as well. Mm-hmm. So.
And I just want to point out to the audience where this originated was in a complex, an apartment complex. So it's not just the homes. It was a low-income African-American apartment complex. When they found the ground soil contaminated with lead to the point where it was 212 times the allowable limit, they did not test the water, which is mind-boggling. You could ask the EPA why they didn't do that. At the same time, the EPA had told me in August on camera, there's no water issue. Just like in Flint for over a year, they said there's no problem with the water as people were showing rashes and brownness in the water. So benefit of the doubt, I'm assuming they're not knowingly trying to poison people, but the EPA, the city officials, the state environmental departments are not always right. And they're not thoroughly testing in a lot of ways. So, you're lucky that, not lucky, but thankfully you don't have any additional illnesses other than the genetic one. But now maybe you could share, because I know people in this community are close-knit. Last time I was here, it's kind of like, oh, everybody's starting to connect the dots. Oh, no wonder. We always just thought it was a coincidence everybody on this block had asthma and bronchitis and respiratory illnesses. One woman told me she's in her 40s. All these young women were starting to get cancers. Have you heard of those cases?
Yes, I have. I even heard a couple of women in their 40s that have lost all their teeth and they're wearing dentures. I mean, that's just like, how coincidental is that? You have two women living in the same zone and, they both have dentures at the age of 40, But I have to tell you, we do suffer mild, things like allergies. We do have the allergies. We're always sneezing. I don't know if it's because of the dog, but, you start questioning everything as far as, all these little things that you're starting to feel. When you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're dizzy, and like, why? What did I do different? You know what I mean? Just out of nowhere. And that's both my husband and I. So this was even before we knew, about the contamination here. But now it kind of like all makes sense to us, because I mean, if we're being exposed, through the water and we're taking, I heard that, it's really bad when you really take a really hot shower, because it lets out all those, toxic chemicals. They even get worse. And, it just, I don't know, it just boggles my mind because, it's kind of scary. It really is. It really is scary.
Well, it's also logistically a nightmare because, for example, I was in Miss Garza's home, 3 houses down, a couple weeks ago, and they did test her water, high lead levels. They tested the basement, so you're kind of like you don't know what you could touch, where it was almost even with me. I was trying not to touch certain things. When you're cooking, a lot of times you got to cook with, you add water to cook. Well, that's tap water. How many bottled waters can you buy? It gets expensive. So a lot of times you're kind of at mercy in your own home.
Yeah. Well, you take things for granted. That's what, because you're like, oh, well, and so you're used to using your kitchen water for cooking. So, it's just a normal thing that you do. And I still even catch myself doing that. I won't drink it. That's one thing I won't do. But for cooking, but then again, I try to think about it often, and I try to use, bottled water. But we go through a lot of bottled water. My husband's buying bottled water like every other day, 2 cases, because we use the bottled water for almost everything with the exception of bathing ourselves. Even when we brush our teeth, we're using bottled water. And it's such an inconvenience. It really is.
And it's not like the water bill's going down either.
No, our water bill is still the same kind of, the same rate that we're paying. And I believe they want to increase our water bill. Why should they do that?
Yeah.
They're not even cleaning our water. It's not even safe.
I want to broaden this out for a minute because, honestly, the way it's looking, it's not a guarantee that President Trump's going to make it 4 years, folks. I'm not being funny, but it's possible, which would mean President Pence. Well, Pence was the governor here. Pence, as far as I know, never came down to East Chicago after it came out about the lead crisis here. Never could grace, frankly, a poor Latino and black neighborhood with his presence. He did leave the campaign trail when he was running for vice president. He left the campaign trail because a white neighborhood got struck with a tornado. So I wanted to ask you, and he also, in his final weeks as governor, after he was the vice president-elect, denied the disaster request. Yes. It was just officially, under the new governor, designated an emergency disaster, which gives some extra funding. So as a Latino woman, how do you feel that the current president, vice president, who possibly one day could be president, he never came down here. He sent I think he sent some of his staff down here. He didn't deem it as a disaster, but now the new Republican governor has. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have 2 words: environmental justice or environmental racism. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Okay, and as far as Pence, I actually wanted to sue him because he denied, our declaration of emergency here. I says I want to sue him, but that's my first reaction. But I know it's just so much more involved. I don't know if it can be done, whatever. If it was up to me, I would sue EPA, Pence, and the responsible parties. Those are the 3 people I would like to see, bring some, I don't know, I would like to sue them. I don't know if that's good to say, but I'm just saying that's how I felt at the moment when all this was going on, and when he, denied, our declaration of emergency. I was just you went. There was a city. I think it was called. What was it called? It was down south, and they had a lead crisis. And in 2 months, he declared a declaration out there, and it was predominantly 90% white. I think it was called Green City. That's what it was called. And then so, now we have our issues up here, and he denied us. He just turned his back on us. And that really upset me. That really did. I really thought there was some kind of compassion that he might have for us, but he showed none.
Well, my mama always said, actions speak louder than words. And the fact that he never even came down here for a photo op, that's what most of these people do. Schneider at least went down to Flint. That's about all he did. the governor of Michigan. So for people watching that are want to know, what should they do? Whether they could come here and protest or, could do things in their community. What do you think people should do? And do you think other people need to start investigating what their neighborhood? Do you think people should investigate, do I have any, toxic waste dumps in my neighborhood? What would be your message to viewers and other people who are just learning that this is another quiet crisis that isn't getting enough coverage, in my view?
Well, I would say is maybe they should go out and get some independent studies, of their land and their water. If they have any kind of, indication that there might be something going on, with the water, I honestly think they should possibly contact their city officials, because the water department does do water testing, but who knows how accurate those are, but yeah, I mean, we're going to move and we're going to get our soil tested before we buy anywhere. And we've learned from this experience. And, we're just kind of being proactive in those areas to make sure that our water is not going to be contaminated. Because why move to one place, to another if you're going to have the same problems and issues? So we're taking those moves. That's what we're doing.
As a Latino or Mexican, right? Mexicano. What are your thoughts just on the racial component here?
I think part of it's racial. Most of Zone 1, 2, and 3, most everything over here in Chicago, it comprises a part of white people, poor people, Latinos, and black people. But he went right away to that. What was that? Green City, and in less than 2-3 months, everything was taken care of it. So why they do this to us? I mean, it's like they told us, and we're the armpit of Indiana because we're so close to Chicago, this and that. They really don't care about us. They don't.
But yet they take our tax money. That's for sure.
Money from the mills, from BP, from industries. They put a lot of money in the coffers, and we don't receive nothing out of that. I mean, to take care of us. I don't want no. I don't want any of them to have lástima. ¿Cómo se dice?
Lástima. That means. I don't know what that means.
What I have earned through the years that I've been here is because I work all my life, and going through all these, they turn our lives upside down. It's just not fair.
You're being forced to move.
Exactly. Because I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to leave my wife here. We got to get out of here. One way or another, we're going to leave out of here. And what I see, they've been very, very slow to act properly and take care of everybody, not just one people, but everybody. Especially the kids. If you go in the morning, you see the buses. You see a lot of kids, Latinos, whites, black people getting in the bus. What about them?
Well, I'll tell you what about them. When I came here in August, the first time, in West Calumet Complex, they were still moving people in with kids and not telling them a damn thing about the lead. So that's what's going on. Now, hopefully more people know, but it doesn't seem like, whether it's the landowners, whether it's apartment complex owners, whether it's the government, it doesn't seem like much. You have 11 grandchildren?
Yes, we have a total of 11, and we really don't have them come over here anymore. If they come over, they just come right into the home. But we don't. Yeah, we had grandchildren that played out in the backyard, and played in the pool and water and the dirt. I mean, they were digging up dirt, and that's pretty scary.
Like in summertime.
Yeah, in the summer.
When we had cookouts or whatever, my grandkids, just see them there. I mean, I didn't know. If I would have known, I never. Now I tell my son, don't bring him in. We go and see him in Chicago. But that's another thing that is not right. It's not right. But
And they knew about it. That's just it. They've known about it since 1984 when Vislowski wrote that first letter.
Who's Slosowski?
He's our congressman. It's in the archives. You can see all that. And and he had asked about this area, being contaminated. And thereafter, it just kind of like nobody said anything thereafter until I think the 90s, and who knows, why did it take so long? You know what I mean?
So even though America has mostly been deindustrialized because of jobs being offshored, it seems to me, all right, well, we need somewhere to dump all these factories. Let's just dump it where low-income people live, whether it's poor, white, black, Latino, whatever it is. You're not seeing this in Bel Air.
Well, I have to tell you, what would really astound me was when I saw the map of East Chicago, and I saw the majority of what was in East Chicago was all industrial, and it was only 20% of residential homes. And, you really don't think about that when you're in the streets, and you're riding around the neighborhood. You think you have like bunch of neighborhoods around here, and you don't. It's more industry than residential. And I couldn't believe what I saw, and I just learned this like a year ago, and I don't know if that's being dumb. You know what I mean? I feel dumb because I didn't realize that, but I don't know if anybody really takes note of that. You understand what I'm saying? That we are living in a city that's 80% industry. And so when you have all these industrial companies here, what do they bring? They bring contamination, pollution. And they should be taking care of the people that reside, in the city, and they don't.
And then they fight like hell not to pay for anything.
Exactly. Well, you know how all that works out, right? They have their lobbyists, they make their own laws. It's horrible.
TYT is now your lobbyist. So, well, you could say, as far as you know, what's being done to help? Not a whole lot.
No, the only thing that's happening now is we're trying to get all the residents involved. That way we can have the power of our voice, and go down to Indianapolis, talk to the political leaders, our senators, our state representatives, and I know it's not going to happen overnight, but we're not going to stop. We're still going to continue. And if they want to join us, in that fight, in that cause, they can always call me, call Thomas Frank, call the community strategy group. We're online. They can go on Facebook. We're on Facebook. They can go on Facebook and community strategy group. And so we're doing a lot of footwork to make a change. We're not going to be quiet. And they got me turned on now, and I feel passionate about this, and I'm going to continue until we get some kind of justice. And I think that's going to be our next road show, is Washington.
Bring your tostados.
Yes, I will.
Very, very good.
He ate tostadas. And so, yes, I'll bring my tostada. I'll bring my husband's tostadas. I can't take kudos for that. But yes, just, you know what? I guess my last thoughts would be that I'm just so how can I say, it's very depressing. Um, we have emotions that run high. Um, we have all these uncertainties. Um, and, there's just times where my husband and I just emotionally get, you know, we end up crying because, we just don't know, what's going to become of all this because you just don't know, because there's people that make decisions that you have no control over, so, but, we're just going to try our best, to make it right. That's what we're going to try to do. And whatever we can do, we go to all the meetings, we support whatever we need to support to get, our, our message heard here, and yeah, it can be very emotional.
Last thoughts?
I'm really mad as hell. That's one of the reasons that I don't like to talk to nobody. I start thinking about everything, and it's so unfair. But I just want those polluters out there. They know exactly who they are. They're gonna pay. They're gonna pay for these and maybe even more, one way or another. We're coming after you.